Hold on. You're telling me that Legendary Duelists might actually have good cards for once? What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Today we're gonna be doing a video I never thought I'd be doing, and that is covering some actual good cards out of a Legendary Duelist set. So for context here, the Japanese equivalent to the Legendary Duelist set for us TCG players actually spoiled some cards that we're going to be receiving, and yeah, they're actually not half bad. Typically, I always despise Legendary Duelist sets because they just seem like this major nostalgia bait sort of product for a lot of the casual-oriented market, and there really isn't a huge desirability for this product whatsoever, aside from when they put in like a Ghost Rare Winged Dragon of Ra, maybe some of the anime-oriented style of reprints that are extraordinarily expensive for no reason other than the fact that they're anime cards. But nonetheless, Konami might be changing gears here, and this could be something potentially for the better. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in here. So these are actually some of the cards from Sherry LeBlanc. I believe this is a character from 5D since it's a synchro-oriented archetype. I did not watch 5Ds all that much, so in all honesty, I'm not too familiar with the character specifically. However, I am very interested by these cards, especially after you see what we're getting. So first up is Floret Defleur. So it is a level 8 dark spellcaster effect monster, 2900 attack and 0 defense. You can only use the card's first and second effects once per turn each. You can target one monster you control and one other card on the field. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, destroy those targets. So this is already a really interesting effect because it's generic A. I mean, you don't have to actually play this in the specific deck, so this actually could be generic support for other archetypes that they may want to use. But B, what's fascinating here is that if you're playing some sort of archetype that actually generates advantage from the cards being destroyed, from the cards being sent to the graveyard, what have you, then not only do you actually break even on this exchange, you'll actually plus because you'll be popping one of your opponent's cards at the same time. Now, it says one other card on the field, so it doesn't even have to necessarily be your opponent's card. You could blow up two of your own cards potentially, but I think more often than not, you'd want to destroy your opponent's cards unless your deck is something like, you know, a True Draco or a Burning Abyss or a Shaddoll, where it actually gets value from those cards being destroyed specifically. But again, it's very fascinating that this is actually generically applicable and could be relevant for other decks to use. The second effect says, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one other monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, then add one level 1 plant monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Now, as we all know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a historically long line of very powerful level 1 plant monsters. A lot of them are actually on the ban list, as a matter of fact, but just something as simple as going for like Evil Thorn, right? If this is your opening play, and then you search Evil Thorn with this effect somehow, then you can normal summon the Evil Thorn and get like 2 more Evil Thorns, and just like that, you're off to the races with whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So, very interesting card to start. And again, this type of effect doesn't preclude you from summoning other monsters. It doesn't lock you into only summoning plants. These are the types of card designs I really appreciate, just because it allows you to just start to brainstorm as to how you could actually use this in other decks, not necessarily just the deck it's natively meant for. Let's go ahead and move on though to the next card here, and the artwork on this card is cool. This is White Steed of the Floral Knight. So it's a level 6 wind beast effect monster, 2400 attack, 1800 defense. You can only special summon with this way in the card's name's first effect once per turn. You can only use this card's name's second effect once per turn. This is worded very oddly, but I guess it's just to make it so you can't summon it more than once. In any case, if you control a level 2 or lower monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Again, this is just a fantastic extender. This is a level 6 extender, and if you have a level 2 tuner, which I imagine we're going to be seeing here in a moment, then that allows you to just immediately go into a level 8 synchro. So again, this is just a generic extender for decks that are playing level 2 or lower monsters. You normal summon your level 2, you special summon this, and just like that, you have either a level 8 synchro play, you have a Link 2 play. I mean, this is just a generically good extender for any deck that's playing a reasonable amount of level 2 or lower monsters. If it's a level 1, then you have a synchro for 7, and Wind is a very deceptively powerful archetype in the synchro synergistic category, so this is just like a decent card, and again, it's not like overly broken or anything, but it's just a good card that we haven't had before. Second effect says, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one card you control, negate the attack, and if you do, destroy that target. So this is a cool little protection effect that allows you to get some value out of this card when it is in the graveyard. You do have to be destroying your own cards, which is a bit of a downside, but again, depending on the type of deck that you're playing, that may not be the end of the world because maybe you want those cards to be destroyed, and it could potentially protect you from actually getting killed depending on the circumstances. So in that case, I think having this as a nice little fallback second effect is fine, but you're primarily just going to be playing this card for the first effect because it's just a free extender if your deck can support it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next card, which looks like it is our level 2 tuner. It is Necrosynchron. Cool artwork on this one. Level 2 Dark Machine Tuner effect monster, 200 attack, 400 defense. Anytime you see machine and an attack under 500, that just screams machine duplication to me. I'm not sure if that's going to be useful, but it is always something to consider because machine duplication is an absolutely broken card, and you can only use this card's name second and third effects once per turn each. This card's name becomes Fleur Synchron while on the field or in the graveyard, obviously paying homage to the other parts of the archetype, which are really, really old. A lot of them, I think, were like video game promos. Some of them were from like Tag Force, I believe. It's a weird bunch of cards that just really never saw play. Second effect, you can target one other face-up monster you control, increase its level by 2 until the end of this turn. So in a very simple play pattern, you normal summon this, you special summon this, and then you can use the second effect to make this thing level 8, so then you can go into a level 10 synchro, or you can just stick with where it normally is and go for a level 8. That's also perfectly fine. Third effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material for a wind monster, you can special summon one level 1 plant monster from your deck. Wow, that is just really good when you consider Evil Thorn once again, because you can normal summon this, special summon this, you can up the level if you want, but you could just make Stardust Dragon, because Stardust Dragon is a wind, that's level 8, and then now you can go ahead and use this third effect here, special summon a level 1 plant from your deck, and that will either allow you to go into a Synchro 9. If it's Evil Thorn, you can get 2 more Thorns out, so now you have some even more fodder to work with. This isn't bad. Like, this is actually, like, decently playable, and again, machine duplication, I'm telling you, like, I don't know what the rest of this archetype looks like, but anytime you see machine and under 500 attack, you have to think of if there's a way to abuse that and if it's worth it for you to play it. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll have to see. Let's go ahead and get to the big card, though, because this is the card I am the most excited about. So this is Baroness Defleur. So it is a level 10 Wind Warrior Synchro effect monster, 3000 attack, 2400 defense. It requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, which means this is generic. This isn't locked specifically to this archetype, but again, you can normal summon this, special summon this, use the effect to make this level 10, or excuse me, level 8, and now you have 10 stars worth of synchro material, so you can easily make this just off of those 2 cards alone. The effect reads, you can only use this card's name second effect once per turn. Once per turn, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it. Okay, that's pretty good. Like, obviously, targeting and destroying aren't exactly the best, but if it's a set card your opponent controls, you can force them to activate it. If it's just a set monster on the field, you can pop that as well. If it's a card you just need to clear, just pop it. It's free, so why not, right? It's fine. Second effect, once while this face-up card is on the field, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. That is really good. This is when a card or effect is activated, so that means anything, and it negates and destroys the card. It's interesting that it's just once while face up on the field, because that means you can only use it once, and then it's like a one and done sort of thing. I think I wish that you could just use this every single turn, like just make it a once per turn clause at that point, but maybe that's a little bit too good. I'm not too sure, but that's still really strong. Any deck that makes end boards that are just reasonably hard to break through would love to have a level 10 synchro like this to add into their arsenal. The third and final effect reads, once per turn during the standby phase, you can target 1 level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard. Return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon that monster. Wow, that's actually, okay, no, this actually changes things significantly, so here's why. So when it comes to this third effect here, it is during the standby phase, which is a little bit awkward, but essentially, if you are able to keep this monster on the field for a turn, let's say, and then the turn cycle comes back around to you. During your standby phase, you can pick either one of these to bring back to your field. You shuffle this back into your extra, or you send it back to the extra deck. You don't shuffle it, but you send it back to the extra deck, and then you are able to bring out any of these guys, and then you could just bring it out again. You just summon another Necrosynchron or another one of the white steed here, and then you're able to just synchro into this again. The second effect is online once again. I really wish it wasn't during the standby phase, because I think it'd be really cool if you could go, okay, pop your card, then use the third effect to tag it out and get something back on the field, re-synchro, and then pop a second card. I guess that was a little bit too good, and they didn't want that to happen, which is why this clause is here, but I still think that's really, really strong. Like, that's a very, very good effect, and the thing about it is, it's any level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard, so the only thing that prevents you from summoning is Xyz monsters or Link monsters. This can be anything. So depending on what else you've already summoned up to that point in the game, if you want to bring something else out, if you've already used the second effect here, if you don't need to destroy more cards, then guess what? You can just summon any monster in your graveyard that's level 9 or lower and set up for whatever play you're doing on that turn. I actually think this is really strong. I think this is a very, very good synchro for a level 10, especially that's generic. I think people are going to be trying to find ways to add this to their deck just because this is an omni negate for not just cards, but effects as well, which means that stuff that's already on the field can activate, and this card is able to negate it. Now, not every deck is going to be able to facilitate a Synchro 10, but wow, this card is actually really, really good. It's not like the best card in this category, but I think this is still a very reasonable pick if you're playing any sort of combo deck that builds really big end boards. Really, really good card. Let's move on along to the next card here. It is Floret Defleur. It is an equip spell card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. You can only use the third effect once per turn. Interesting. So activate this card by targeting one level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon it, but its effects are negated. And if you do, equip it with this card. If this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. The second effect says the equipped monster gains 700 attack, and the third effect reads, if this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can equip this card to a synchro monster you control. So this is interesting. So basically you can equip this to like Necrosynchron, and then if you sync off and make the big guy here, then you're able to go ahead and equip the sword to the Baroness, and then if it's on the Baroness becomes 3,700. It's fine. I mean, it's cool that it's a level 2 or lower monster reborn. It does negate the effects, however, and I think that's the primary reason you would play this. The third effect is whatever. If you do manage to get it onto a synchro, that's fine, but it's not the end of the world. If you are playing this, you would play it just because you are able to get back your level 2s. Again, it's level 2 or lower monster reborn, or I guess premature burial because it's an equipped spell, and it doesn't say specifically like a dark monster or a plant monster or a machine, because Necrosynchron's a machine. So this is just generic level 2 or lower support overall, and that's something that people need to consider for the future, because if this is relevant, that's actually pretty cool that you can play something like that. And then I believe we have one or two more cards here. Let's go ahead and see. I think this is the last one, actually. It is Synchro Dilemma. So it's a continuous spell card. You can only use this card's name first effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects. Either send one Synchron monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, special summon one monster from your hand, or target one other card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Synchron monster with a different original name than that card from your hand or graveyard. So this is a bit of a weird one. This card, initially when you're going to use this card, doesn't do all that much. It allows you to unload your hand a little bit. It's kind of neat that if you send a Synchron monster from your hand or field to the graveyard, you're able to just special summon any monster out. It's not like it's specifically something within this archetype. It's just any monster, and that's kind of cool. But again, you're kind of taking a minus to do that, so I'm not sure how good that really is. And then the second effect, target a card you control, destroy it, and then special summon a Synchron monster with a different name than that from your hand or grave. I think if you're getting it back from the graveyard, this is probably where this card could be good. It says target one other card you control, which is a little bit unfortunate. I wish you could just like pop itself to get something back from the grave, because then at least it's like a little 1-for-1 there, but you do have to be popping something else. The second effect, you're not necessarily losing advantage though, you're just replacing something for a Synchron monster, and allows you to get them back from the graveyard. So some more revival potentially, and again, depending on the type of deck you're playing this in, depending on the type of card you're trying to destroy, it may not be a bad thing, right? You're able to mitigate the cost by destroying something that just generates you advantage when it hits the graveyard, and I'm just impressed that there isn't any cards in this entire archetype that just lock you into a specific set of attributes or types, or just have some restriction on them. They're really open-ended, and these are tools that a lot of different decks decks can take advantage of. Overall, I'm really impressed, actually. I think Baroness Defleur is going to make a huge impact in the game, depending on if certain combo decks are able to summon it, because obviously it's going to be fighting for extra deck space with other cards such as Borreload Savage Dragon, right? So there is going to be some decision making there, and, you know, Borreload Savage Dragon ultimately might be better, but maybe based on the type of deck that you're playing, maybe it's a lot easier for you to go into a Synchro 10. The thing is, it just gives people more options, and I think the most important point to underscore here is that these are some of the first Legendary Duelist cards that are actually, like, pretty decent. Like, they're not like game warpingly busted or anything, but these are cards that actually make me excited and possibly interested to want to look forward to this set. Typically that isn't the case. Typically it's just a ton of reprints from all these other anime sets, and there really isn't a lot of value there for me specifically as a player. It's more catered towards the collector and the casual market, and that's usually how the product's always been. But I think this is actually a very interesting step forward for Konami for the Legendary Duelist series of products specifically, and now I'm very curious to see what the other archetypes that we're going to be receiving are in the set and what kind of cards we're going to be receiving, because if this is any indication of what's to come, I actually think that's rather exciting. But guys, those are just my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about these brand new cards. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this one. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always, subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content, and if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive early one-day access to both the history of Yu-Gi-Oh and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Thanks so much again, and we will see you next time.